Yes.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, definitely. Just the 12th, and I hope you had good lunch, all of them, and fresh for the rest of the workshop, half the workshop.
We had quick lunch. We had quick lunch.
Quick and nice lunch.
Yeah.
Okay, now Fleur is Bart, and I would like him to have his presentation about Microneer.
This, and then I will full screen. Now you would have full screen, is that correct? It's working? Yes. Please confirm.
Yes.
Right.
Sorry, I was mute and I was telling yes, but
Okay. Get sleepy after lunch. We have talked about this marine debris tracker, which is the easy or relatively easy way to work with marine debris and marine litter, which is where we're using this concept with citizen science. Janneke has talked a little bit more on more advanced methodologies, this deep dive, where we get more information, especially from larger items where we can still trace different kind of properties. I will talk a little bit on another development, a more technological development that we're gonna test in this pilot program. This near scanner, which gives you information about the polymer type. And as Janneke is more into sources and maybe age of the marine litter and especially plastics, we are more into the chemical properties of the material that we find on beaches and river banks. So I will talk a little bit about this. We're going to go in detail and give you detailed instructions when we have the workshop number 2 and when we have shipped a number of these near scanners to you. I will give a short introduction because it connects nicely to the strategy where we have the debris tracker, we have the deep dive, and we have this more chemical analysis tool that we will be testing. And so this is part of or an introduction to this workshop 2, that you see what kind of things we are planning to do in the CRIPTIC project. This is also important, again, to connect to the other work package for the modeling, because if we know the polymer type, we know the density, and we know much more about the behavior of the litter, the plastics, and that would have implications for the modeling exercises that Pijhem and his group will do later. So we're going to look a little bit on these chemical properties of polymers. I'll give a little bit introduction on that, and I will show you some of the features that we have developed with this device. It's all part of something what we call this knowledge cloud, the cloud where we store a lot of information on marine litter, marine and also land river litter. We have some of the, and I might try to see if I have a pointer, laser pointer here. We have measure equipment on ferries and different cruise ships where we get information. Also with these cruise ships operators, we work with the passengers on board. So again, we work with citizens. We work with drones, and that's all part of work package 2 and 3. But we also have this near scanner, and all this information should go to one cloud or lake where we store all this data, and the outcome would go to, well, the combination of this citizen science, but also solutions to policymakers and to the scientific community, and also to the industries who want to know where their projects end up, and maybe even have mitigations or solutions there. If we look at beach inventories, and Janneke already touched upon this. Now, these are some examples. Now, the work that SALT is doing is more advanced, but this is just a quick overview what we can find in different reports and different databases, we see that a large part, and you can see this orange one, it's non-identified. So if you do this beach surveys, you easily can find out if it's a bottle or if it's a plastic bag or if it's a cigarette butt. But a lot of the smaller materials are still not identified. And that's also for this one. We know that it's plastics, but we don't have any more information on the green parts, which are unidentified plastic fragments or parts. So there is a big gap between the macro, and I think then there's a lot of research on the micro, but we are not looking at this category in between. And that's where we've been focusing on a little bit, is this meso and microplastics, but mostly meso, because also from an ecological point of view, these are the particles that fish and birds are mistaking, and turtles are mistaking, or in other species are mistaking for food. So this is a very important category which has direct effects on ecosystems and wildlife. So, and we have very little kind of background where it comes from. We know it's fragments from something, but we don't know where it comes from. And we have also difficulties to establish the behavior, because, like we said before, there are many different polymer types in this kind of meso debris, meso particles that we find on beaches, all from pre-production pellets to fragments of plastic bags. So we think we need more information about this very important category of plastics in the environment. Now, if you look at different technologies, how to do that, if you look at the Lego here in the picture, if you look visually, you can distinguish if it's a black, blue, or green, or another color of the plastics, but you don't get more information. So visible, it's only possible if you have big items and you know what they are. But if you get these fragments, we don't get more information than only the color when you look at this kind of mesoparticles. Now, if you look into the near-infrared area, the information, the chemical information stored in the polymers is in the near-infrared. So in the near-infrared, there's information about which kind of plastic, which kind of polymers you can find. So we need to go through, and a lot of these technologies and methods to discover microplastics that we use in the laboratory are FTIR, Fourier transform, near-infrared. And so it is these technologies we wanted to move into the citizen science area, that we could easily use and easily defined instrumentation to use this in the field by citizens and also scientists and students. So we're looking at this device, a small iPhone gadget. It's not larger than a cigarette, it's smaller than a package of cigarettes. And with this scanner, we can scan different spectra of the polymers. And we do very advanced kind of data treatment on that. These are some examples that we do, and we combine those. So we get from the different, this is an example, it's very small, but you might want to see that. It's pre-production pellets, and you get this nice infrared spectra, which is very specific for all the different polymers, and sometimes also additives we can detect. So we are scanning, we have this small scanner, and we're scanning the spectra. Now, when we put all these spectra together, and we have a database now of more than, I think this is a couple of months ago, I think we have more than 500 items that we scan. We do this very advanced statistical treatment of the data, and then we have a list with the, I think it's 7 or 8 most used plastics. So we can see that they all have a very different form in the curves there. So this is what we developed the database with the statistical treatment, which is a model which we can use. Now, when we come to come to, I want to close this, not one. If we come to use this for citizen science, you don't have to know all the theory and all the chemistry behind this. We developed an app. It's in the developer license stage where we develop an app to work on this. So you don't have to know the theories, and you don't have to know all the things behind it. But we have designed an easy to handle app in this case, and I hope it will work a little bit. It should give an animation, but for the here you see that we have this app. You find the database that we're using, and we're using the database with the most number of items, and I think in this case it was 400, more than 400 items. We scan the sample, so we find the database where you connect to. We scan the sample, so now it's this is illustrating that it's scanning in the prototype app that we are developing, and it gives up the number that it is polycarbonate. I'll do that later again. We scan the item three times. Normally you don't have to do that, but this is the test phase, and again it comes back with that it's polycarbonate. We scan it another time just to be sure, just for this demo. We scan it again, and you get hopefully, yes, again, polycarbonate. So this way we will be, it's very easy to scan the results, or to scan the plastics, and the results are stored in this cloud format. So this will give us extra information on smaller fragments, items that we can't directly identify, but we get the polymer type and the polymer type, which can relate us again in the future to different kind of usage. So we're making these tables with the different items. So this will give us a little bit which kind of polymer it is. It will give us the density, of course, which is important for the modeling exercises that we're going to do in CRIPTIC. And it will relate a little bit to the different applications. Now, this is very difficult. Of course, it's if polyethylene, it's used for everything. But it gives us a little bit more information about usage, a little bit more about the production volumes and where they end up, and it will give us extra information on the polymers, which is useful for the modeling exercises that we're going to do. So we're going to make some instruction videos. We're already working on that. We're gonna ship as soon as we have got 2 more devices, and we will ship some of these devices to you to use for to test if this to give this extra information on the debris that we find on the different beaches. And I think that's about it. Yes. And yeah, that's again, and then that will lead into the next phase where we look in data processing, analysis, and applications, which will be the 3rd workshop, which we'll do in the end of the project. So this was a quick preview of the things that we're going to do in more practical things we're going to do in Work Package 2 when you all have received the scanners from us. That was a quick intro.
Thank you very much, Bert. Very nice presentation, very informative. You introduced us to this small gadget that could be connected to smart mobile phone. If I understood correctly, about the library behind the analysis is something located at NIVA computer somewhere, and the spectra we get from different items, plastic items, will be compared to the available library to identify which plastic is that, or it is kind of online. It happens online. The end user will see which sort of plastic they are scanning.
Yes.
Or we'll see. So
yes.
it is kind of online connection with the library we have here.
You need to have a connection that could be through a telephone or through a 3G or 4G. What will the scanner will scan it with Bluetooth? It will be connected to the app on the iPhone. The app will send it to the cloud. and you get the directly you get the polymer type back. So when you scan it, it's a process of a few seconds. You get it back,
This
depending on
two-way process.
Yes.
It takes not more than
so
a few seconds.
So we store all the data in the cloud, so we get all this information, but you get, as the user, you get directly back which kind of polymer type it is.
And also, you mentioned this mesoplastic, which yeah, exactly. This is almost the missing link between macroplastic and microplastic, and it's quite important to identify the characteristic of mesoplastics, like as you mentioned, density, in terms of modeling and other activities, especially in modeling. If you don't know the density, because this mesoplastics mostly driven by currents. If we look at them at oceanic environment, there's no wind effect on them, wind drag on that, and it depends on just oceanic currents. And then density is quite important issue here, and your activity will help us to identify the density of majority of lens or mesoscale, how you call it, I don't know, plastic. Yeah. That's good. Now we are going toward the discussion and question session. Remember the presentation Yannicke had before lunch, and Bert presentation and a whole presentation from this morning are open for question and discussion. Now I see several hands. I see Yannicke, but before Yannicke, I saw Emil. So Yannicke, you are second in the list. So Emil, please, you can turn on your video and we.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for the great presentation. I'm just wondering about the spectral separation aspects, right? It's supposed to have got like 4 bottles, right? One is, and the material is absolutely the same, right? But the colors are different, right? And the issue, like, your scanner is supposed to be reflective to the near infrared range because of the colors of those bottles, but the material of that is ultimately the same. I'm just wondering, how do you consider to calibrate that the issue that the color might affect to your spectral range in the measurements? And basically you will get, if the material is the same, ultimately you need to have the same spectral signature, but the color might be impacting to that, so that you will get some spectral separation. How are you supposed to deal so that you can mitigate the risk of the variations in the near infrared range? Thank you.
Yeah, we've done this on like I said, a large number of items. We don't measure anything in the visual light, so we don't get any disturbances by color. So we don't measure this. We are beyond that. The only thing is if we have completely black particles or black, then it's absorbing all our near light. So black, and sometimes we have problems with which are metallic kind of that also reflects too much. But the color as such is not a problem. The only problem is completely black. So we have one category, black particles, which can be road tire wear particles from tires or from roads. And we have problems with there's some metallic kind of composite in the polymer. That are the two things that we cannot scan with this simple scanner. But we don't have problems because we tested it, of course, on these Lego blocks that I showed you, and we get exactly the same spectra from all different colors because we don't measure in the visual light area.
So basically, weather conditions, they don't really matter. Also, let's say if you take that and then let's say in the morning, or you also scan that depending on the daytime. All right, perfect. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a very good point. And Bert, you mentioned the black items. It is kind of black body object and Helmholtz equation and those things. You know, we all physicists who they know that. So, and given that majority of the things comes out, for example, tires and other things from road, they are black. So you will categorize all of them at the same category, or still you will be able to give us some information about the density and other things?
No, the big problem, and now you don't find so many car tire particles on the beach. Most of them are more heavy than water, so they will be relatively close to the source, which is a road. So we don't find so many particles in the mesoscale on beaches. So it's not a disturbing thing, but there's no possibility to distinguish black particles from each other if it's car tire or if it's road particles or something else. It's not possible. That's theoretically not possible with near infrared spectra.
Yeah, right. Jannike, please.
Yeah, thank you, Bert. It's really exciting what you presented, and it's true. Like we in the deep dive and in the beach, the citizen science data analysis, we have just ignored all those unidentified pieces that we know make up quite a large part of the litter. And what I wondered in terms of making the data comparable to potentially to the beach litter deep dive data, do you collect like the number of items that are like, can you kind of get data on the number of items that were within a certain spectrum, and can you add weight to that? For example, can you to quantify how much you find of the different spectra?
No, we get in our database the number of scans the people the citizens are testing, and we're testing this on, for example, cruise ships where they do beach cleaning and then they take it to the cruise ships and then they scan the items. So we get the number of scans that they do. We don't have because it's a development app and we're not really ready. So this is a testing phase that we are doing. We try to make this app completely ready, but at the moment it's not possible to register how many items you scan. So we see how many scans, but they can scan the same item 3 times or something. So we need to work on this, and also we don't have the weight. That's another issue. With some of my other colleagues, we're looking at the newer iPhones, which have an option that you have this LDAR. That you can establish a 3-dimensional size of a particle, but that's far away in development. That's we are not there yet. So if combine that with the GPS and maybe a picture is probably the future, but at the moment we are only testing the device, and it's only the polymer type, and because of if they register that, we know how many particles they find. But at the moment, it's not more advanced than scanning, getting the polymer type, and you probably have to write that in a table, or in the future incorporated in the marine debris app. But for the moment, it's just getting the polymer types.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so that is something that maybe in the deep dive part of this work, we can develop a protocol where they can register the polymer type that is scanned and the numbers and weight.
I think at the end of the project, we probably would combine the deep dive, where you do that physically, with the app at the same, with the scanner at the same site, so people can have an extra variable on the registration form. I think that's the way forward at the end of this project.
Yes. More question. I would like to hear question from Azerbaijani side. Emil, please.
Yeah. Sorry, if you have time, I'll just ask one more question.
Yeah,
I know that you are supposed to have the problem with the near infrared stuff when the plastic is in the water, right? How did you actually deal with this stuff, right? When you are dealing with the plastic in the water, how the water is supposed to be actually I would say neglect your signals, right? Of the near infrared. Thank you.
It's not possible to measure in the water, but as soon as you take it out of water and it's not completely covered with water, the near signal for water, the signal is not disturbing, because we did some statistical tricks to take that out. We treat the data in that we keep the interference of water out. Now, if it's completely covered with water or in the water, it will overload. So we don't get a signal. But if you take it out and you shake it and it's nearly dry, then it's a little bit wet on the outside. It doesn't affect the measures because we did some tricks on the statistical treatment of the data.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Hey,
More
Gam,
questions?
I just want to say that Emil is not just a normally, how to say, researcher or participant. He's also one of the main members of the CASPISnet and one of the main person who, how to say, participated on creation of the network.
Very welcome. Very welcome. Good. Any other questions or? Okay. I think that everybody's happy. and so if it is like that, so we will manage to close this workshop a little bit earlier than the scheduled time, which is good for me. I would like to, because we skip Yannick's presentation. After presentation, I summarize all presentation, but the last presentation by Yannick, I didn't summarize. I got a couple of points here from Yannick's last presentation, but just to provide some information, because it was a very nice presentation, some information for Yannick. My expectation is to see more household plastic and plastic in the Caspian Sea. On the go item will be also high, the amount of on the go, because people there, they are very easygoing people. They would like to go weekend on the sea coast and with family and so on, and they are not really that much care about the plastic they leave there. Also, single-use item will be the majority of items over there. I like that the pilot survey idea to have a small pilot survey, very restricted area, and take items and tabulate that items on a table and try to sort it out and get some idea about what sort of plastic we will be encountered, and then it will be helpful to selecting protocol and other precautions and other actual anticipations. Also, the point you mentioned, getting information as much as possible from the experts and local people, that's important things. I think on the other hand, we need to find a facilitated and good channel to communicate with the policymakers and influential people over there if we are thinking about banning or reducing the number of single-use items, that we need to facilitate some sort of dialogue channel with them. I think Alexei will actually mention this point, yeah. So this is my notes from your presentation. Again, still I waiting to hear some question from people. If not, then floor is for Alexei.
Just a small comment, if possible, regarding the next workshops. I wonder when it will be possible to get some kind of materials. In one of our discussions, we discussed that maybe your team will share with us some kind of reading material, which will be really useful for Azerbaijani young researchers to be better prepared for our next stage workshops after the field visits. Maybe it's not the time. Sorry.
No. Actually, it is right time. But I was thinking of we can take it right now. Actually, we record this workshop and it will be available for the participant and project member, and you are very welcome to distribute it among the young scientists and volunteers and the people who are interested. Also, presentations will be available, these presentations. I think we can talk about that and get some reading materials and other things from Bart, Yannick, and other people. It's possible to provide that. Next workshop, we had some preliminary planning for that. Maybe Caspian Day is the right day to have next workshop, but before that we need to conduct a field survey. And I really like to encourage you to take Yannick's advice and plan a pilot survey near the area you're living, maybe Baku or somewhere, to understand what sort of plastic you will encounter, and then actually manage and carry out the large field survey from I think from Neftchala to Kızılağaç.
Yeah, we are in planning.
We decide on that. Yeah. Okay, Alexi, are you there? Oh, Yannick. Yeah, please, Yannick.
No, I just wanted to say that it will be good, like when you spread out your items, it's good to take pictures, because then if you want some guidance, it's easier for us to see what you see in a way. And if you want to do this recording of age and nationality, then I can give you a short introduction to how you do this in practical terms, because we have some rules in order to ensure the data quality. And I will be available until 17th of July, so it's possible until then to get feedback from me, and then I go on holiday.
17th of July till end of
August. I'm starting a new job. Yeah. I'm actually starting from 1st of September, but I will get people from end of August.
Yeah, Yannick, you will be available on like as email or something?
And when I'm on holiday, I normally don't take my computer.
Okay.
So from around mid-July until mid-August, I will not be available.
Okay.
You can give me a call if it's urgent.
Yeah.
Because of timeless loss of Ramiz Mamedov, we stuck for 10 days in a like a stop condition, because of we had at the moment we have a problem. Azerbaijan Geographical Society leader is changing now. Only after that I can send appropriate documentation to the companies for getting permission, something else. That's why the date of the field visit now is a bit.
Elnur, yeah, I understand. I will send an email right after this workshop for Monday. Get together some of us and think about and talk about the field trip. So we will take it there. So
I think there are not going to be a problem now. The situation mostly is positive. I just say that we were a bit late because of that.
Yeah, very good. We will talk on Monday. Alexi, please. Floor is yours.
Yes. So according to our schedule right now, I have 15 minutes instead of 5.
Yeah, you have long. I will use 5 minutes, even less, to just.
Oh, but actually, it was very, very nice to follow all the presentations, and I understand that our colleagues, and especially this group of young students, they a bit shy in the beginning. But I hope for the next meeting that it would be called workshop number 2 or number 1.5 or whatever, where they can present field results. Then it will be communication the other way. But it was a lot of interesting information, very well structured, very good directions. And from my point of view, I can say that by first higher education, I'm engineer physicist, so I'm not a biologist. But even in our area, kind of everybody understands that when you start an experiment, you should be well prepared. And that is most of all safety measures. So that is point number 2. I will coming back to what I told during one of the comments, that field trip is a special activity that should be guided by professionals. And then, of course, safety should be #1 priority. And we from Norway can give a general guidelines on how we operate here. But of course, that is with our Azerbaijan partners, who establish all the procedures, knowing some general regulations, but most important, really surfing in a good way in local conditions. And I mean all the stakeholders, from authorities to local people to, let's say, single village with traditions on how to behave in this village. Because coming to the second point, we can use the Odin precautionary approach. And with this, I would mean not only being accurate towards the nature, that is, of course, the meaning of our project, but also to traditions and to local communities, how to act there. Because in other projects like, coming back to oil spill response and combat, what I was involved for sometimes, we know that when you initiate something good, but do it in a bad way, then it would be worse than doing bad thing from the very beginning. So it is very important that what we do, and Yannick told about taking pictures, I would elaborate that a little bit. It would be good to take in pictures and videos, whatever you do, and to really have this communication to all the stakeholders. When you're on the field, to local people, when you arrange your trip, to authorities, to scientific community, and to consultants. That's a pity that Yannick is out for some time, most probably for the time when you'll be out in the field. But I hope we can agree in through email and working manner on these communication channels, that you contact someone if you need an advice or help when you're out in the field. Because also from other experiences from working in small places in the Arctic, we know that people in remote communities, especially young ones, they're very interested and motivated in anything new. And for them, it is also very important to understand that they are part of the world. On one side, they're doing something for themselves, but from another side, they're really seen on the big picture. So in this way, it is my address to two things that really work with the young generation. You work with students, that is one layer of young generation, but even coming down or up, depending to kindergartens. It is one of the most efficient and the best way to educate adults through children and grandchildren. When your child and grandchild will come to you and tell how to behave with the waste, then you listen to him and to her more than you listen to politicians. So that is a few comments. That it is. We had a kickoff meeting, but I think with this workshop it is really exciting to see the real start of the work. And most of the job will be done on Azerbaijan side. And for us, it is extremely important to learn and to know what and how you are doing. And don't forget that we have Handelsmedia Fund paying for that. And for them, it is very important that they also marked and advertised and marketed in Azerbaijan. So with this, whatever you publish, and we ask you to publish on websites, on your news items, you will know sitting on free chairs. So you have more possibilities to attract more auditorium. Please send us copies, links, whatever. That is also for reporting and for process, very important. So I managed for 6 minutes. Thank you very much.
You had more, Alexei.
Oh, according to my watch, it was 6.
I was very generous. You know, still we have time, and if there is any point Bart and Yannick would like to add, you can manage in 5 minutes or so. If you have, if you don't, I will ask Elnur to have his last words.
Just like we are excited to start the project, and I think it's a very nice collaboration. So we're looking forward to work more practically when you start working on the ground, as I may say.
Yeah, I would like to echo that. It's really exciting, and it's really interesting to get to know a new region and new challenges. And I also encourage you, like this deep dive workshop concept, that you invite people in to take part in beach cleanup or analysis. It's really, really powerful to engage people. And if you can get decision makers, policy makers, politicians with you to do cleanups or to do analysis or see what you've done, it's so much more powerful than showing them a number or a picture afterwards.
Thank you, Jannike. Eleanor, floor is yours.
Thank you so much. You know, day by day, I start to love this project as much as possible. It's really interesting. And yes, in fact, we already started communication with different student, young researchers communities. And then maybe next week, perhaps we will visit Apsheron Peninsula region with the other student NGOs to visit the places, as you say, to make photos and videos for firstly evaluation the situation, which places is needed to work. And even more, I just asked to have a vacation, like summer vacation, starting the 1st July. Normally people prefer it for having a rest, for going to vacation, but I selected these dates only specially for this project, to go independently without any other issues, just far away and work with it. Really interesting. And even during this workshop, a lot of people whom I have never seen before are writing the message that we want to participate, we want to go to field trips. And I mean that I think that this is great success for us, and the people have interest. And I really feel that this work will bring us a lot of interesting surprises in a positive way. Thank you so much. Thank you also to all participants for their patience, maybe, or their interest for participating in this.
Very good, Eleanor. You mentioned that it will be a positive surprise, and that's good. So yeah, I don't have that much to say because it was a very successful workshop. Presentations was high level, high quality presentations, very informative. All actually presentators and participants actually beyond my expectation. Young, I saw so many young enthusiastic faces. 3 girls were sitting behind one camera. So I think the number we see here is not the exact number of the people who are watching and following this workshop. My hope is that the message provided by Bert, Jannike, and Malin find the right direction and right audience, and you can convey to the other audience over there. And as Alexi mentioned, we should start from schools and kindergarten. So you might be able to do something similar and convey some of the ideas you are exposed to kindergarten and schools by actually arranging some sort of presentations and showing some of those slides and some funny things about plastic and what is the effect of that in the environment, especially considering the fragile environment of the Caspian Sea. You know, Caspian Sea is on the brink of collapse. You know that there are so many exposure and stressors to the Caspian Sea, and the capacity of water to refine itself is not that huge as open oceans. So in that case, we need to be very careful about the Caspian Sea, and plastic is one of the critical items, this emerging concerns that we should take it very serious in the Caspian Sea region. So I think with this project will be start for interesting scientific activity. And also, I hope it is starting for other activities in that region. So I would like to close this workshop and thank you all again for participating.
Thank you so much. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you for managing everybody in a very good way, Pegam.
Sorry?
Thank you for managing everybody in a very good way.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye.